welcome back to Tea Time in Paris. This video is going to be about vintage shopping in Paris. Now, I haven't been to Paris for quite some time now, but I noticed that on my iPhone. The last time I went to Paris, there are quite a few vintage shops that I checked out in the Marais area and some that's outside of the area too, but I just haven't had the time to edit all the footage into a fulsome video for you guys. So I thought, why waste those footages, and maybe I'll just sit down on a nice Saturday and just talk to you about it. I do have some thoughts about which shops are good to check out, which ones are reasonably priced, so stay tuned for all those contents. But before we get into it, if you like contents like these, I would really like you to subscribe to my channel. This channel is not just about unboxing or shopping, it's really about the quality items that we like to enjoy and collect in our day-to-day lives. I don't like to promote fast fashion or mass consumerism, so if you like contents like these, please click the subscribe button right now. It doesn't change anything for you, it's completely free, and you won't get any mass emails from me, I promise. Now that we get that over with, let's take a trip together to Paris. The first vintage shop I'm going to talk to you about is not in the Marais area. It's actually a little bit out of the way. And they spell it as thanks, like THANX. So thanks God I'm a VIP. And it's in the, well, it's actually still at the border of Marais, but it's a little out of the way. It's at the northern edge, like very close to, what is this, Gare du Nord. So if you have taken a Eurostar from Paris or I don't know, like Belgium, maybe you can check out that vintage shop, which is probably, it looks to be about 10 minutes from the train station. So why I went sort of out of my way to that vintage shop is that it's actually a pretty large vintage shop and it's pretty well stocked, actually categorized by color theme. So you will see all your neutral colors like black, gray, beige or caramel, like all separated into their own kind of section. And then you have the greens, reds, pinks, blues, you name it. It's like a rainbow of color in the shop, and they're really well organized but really packed. So there are a lot to go through. I would say that you need at least 1 to 2 hours to just go through everything and try all the pieces that you want to try. Their collection is actually pretty good. I was particularly drawn by a Chanel suit that was hanging by the window. When I was walking by, it just looked really classic Chanel vintage. I definitely spent a lot of time in the black and white sections because I just tend to wear a lot of neutrals. I also like my pink, like, you know, this pink scarf. So I did spend some time in that section as well. When I was there, there was this very nice YSL skirt that's probably from the 90s, but it's clearly made for a very petite waist. I wear French size 34 to 36, so that's pretty much one of the smaller sizes, and that waist was really petite. Brands used to have smaller sizes in the vintage era, and maybe, I don't know, women used to be smaller, because have you been to one of those museums about, I'm just remembering an Austrian museum that I've been to once, about a princess or empress, I forgot her name, but they were showing her clothes and her corsets, and I just remember thinking that they were really this tiny, and I know they used to, you know, tie their waist and chest, so maybe that's why. And also people used to be shorter back in the days, right? So with every generation we somehow get taller, so maybe that's why the clothing sizes have changed. But I really wished I could have fit into that really nice black YSL skirt. There were other nice dresses like this Balenciaga dress that's in this neutral gray tone that's very wearable for the office. They also have a pretty cute cafe in the middle. I didn't see anyone actually sitting there, but maybe you can. There is also a winter coat section that's pretty well stocked. Generally, the items are pretty reasonably priced. I am now based in New York, as you're aware, so I often compare the prices to the Real, where they have a lot of pre-loved, ready-to-wear in very good condition. I think Americans in general tend to buy and sell more often than Europeans. The whole cycle is just faster. So in the US, we can actually find a lot of really new pre-loved pieces versus in Europe, I think the pieces are generally more vintage and they are also more well-loved, which is really nice as well to see the pieces have had a real life. If you're looking for something to get into the 1930s Parisian vibe, this is probably where you'll find it. I did dig up a Karl Lagerfeld label dress that fit really well on me, which I did buy. I'm not sure I really made the right choice because, while this is a nice dress, but Karl Lagerfeld as a brand isn't really that high-end, but this piece looks like it's from, I think, at least the 1990s, I want to say, just judging by the label. So I don't know if the brand was the same back in the 1990s. I did try on a pink Chanel top that's really, really cute, and it's reasonably priced as well at 450 euros. It's in a pretty good condition. However, the only reason I didn't get it is because I don't think it looked very good on me. I think the material is super soft, so you kind of need to wear a pretty structured bra. But now that I'm looking at the picture, I feel like maybe I should have gotten that. So on another day, I did a broader tour of the Marais area that's more kind of central. So I started at the southwest border of Marais because that's where I was coming from. I was coming from the west. So I started at a shop called Palais Callas, C-A-L-L-A-S, Callas. It's on line 1 between Hôtel de Ville and Saint Paul. It's probably a little closer to Saint Paul. This shop is pretty well presented, and I like that it's really roomy. It doesn't feel like a vintage shop. It's not super jam-packed, but there aren't as many pieces as there was at, thank God I'm a V.I.P. But there's no vintage smell, and there's a very large fitting area as well. The prices are also quite reasonable, and this is also a theme you're going to find throughout the video. The prices at the shops that are at the border of Marais tend to be more reasonable than the ones that are in the center of Marais. So this one, because it's still at the border, we haven't sort of entered into the heart of Marais, I find that their pieces are quite reasonably priced. There were quite a few skirts that I thought were pretty nice, like this Lanvin skirt. I want to say, it's only 68 euros. So the price is pretty reasonable, but it's not a super special piece. And then there is a Chloe tweed skirt that's, let me see the price again. It's 178 euros. Again, like, not a crazy price. The condition is also pretty good. I did try on a leather skirt, but I didn't think it looked very good on me. This one is from Dior. Yeah, the only reason I tried it on was because it's from Dior, and it's a pretty reasonable price at 160 euros. It's just too bad that it didn't really fit me well. After I left Palais Callas, I went to a shop called The Room Vintage, and now this shop has 2 locations, and the first one is a very tiny location that's in one of these really small alleys. It's a really small shop, and I want to say that their collection is more streetwear focused. There are some coats, like Burberry trench coats and Versace coat, that I spotted and tried on. The prices were okay, but again, like, these are really vintage pieces. Like the Burberry trench coat that I tried on, there was a damage in the pockets and also on the inside of the pockets. So it's definitely not a really well-kept or really kind of new pre-loved pieces. So for that reason, I think the price is, reasonable. It's not super cheap. The Versace coat was lovely. I think it's not the main Versace label. Like, I'm not a Versace expert, but I feel like this is the street label maybe. The price is not super high, it's 290 euros, but then again, it's like, this is the kind of piece that you want to wear for fun, but not like a really serious piece to add to your collection. Yeah, so the label says Versace Jeans Couture. If you know what that means, let me know in the comment section down below. So now this neighborhood is pretty nice to walk around in. Right beside the Room Vintage, there was a very old-fashioned French sausage shop of some sort. I was really tempted to kind of go inside and see what there is, but actually don't eat a lot of charcuterie because it's known to cause cancer. Do you know that? French people are still eating it because that's just how much they love it. I'm just not crazy enough to do it. So now the next stop is Scat Vintage. Now we're heading into a more central location in Marais. And Scat Vintage, compared to the Room Vintage, is a little bit more high-end. I feel like the shop is kind of positioned that way. The decor kind of reflects it. The pieces also hung kind of more sparsely. I feel like that's how you can tell because, you know, they sell higher priced pieces per kind of square inch of the store location. And the rent is also obviously higher in this location. So the prices are, I would say, getting pretty high. I didn't get really any footage there because I wasn't really interested in any pieces for the price, but they do have a good selection of the big names like Chanel, Celine, and YSL. It's just that I thought for those prices you can find better deals on The RealReal. I think I also shared some thoughts that day when I was walking through the area. I'm probably going to insert that footage here so you can hear what I had to say the day of. I feel like the closer we move into the Marais area, the more expensive things get. One of the vintage stores I just went to, Scat Vintage, the prices are noticeably a lot higher than the last two that I went to. Like I saw a Saint Laurent vintage, like clearly vintage jacket for 9.95 euros, and a Celine Phoebe Philo era, but pretty old as well. Wool skirt for 650 euros. I feel like you can get better deals on The RealReal nowadays in the US. Love these. Usually they are much bigger and I feel really guilty when I eat them because they're just so big and I can't stop halfway. So these are really like tiny, so I feel a little better eating them. And now after Scat Vintage, I was walking to Open Dressing, which is another vintage shop. It's in the northern Marais area. Of course, I couldn't resist passing by the beautiful Place des Vosges. It's a little like Palais Callas if you've been to that part of Paris. It's like a very nice square that you can just go in and sit by the benches, bird watching or people watching, and just eat a croissant or whatever. I think when I was reading one of the books about Paris, it actually mentioned that Place des Vosges is where the center of Paris used to be. I don't even want to mention which century it is because I feel like I'm gonna get it wrong. But basically, the center of Paris used to be around there, and you can see the style of the apartments around that square are actually in the old kind of building style that you don't find in a lot of places in Paris. And I know that a lot of us think that the Parisian architecture is kind of all the same everywhere in Paris because they just look so different from North America. But the fact is there are different types of architecture even within the Parisian style of architecture. And if you pay close attention, you can see that the apartments around the square have different styles in their windows and roofs than the apartments in other parts of Paris, like on the western side, for example, which are a little bit newer. This video is not about Parisian architecture, so I'll stop there. And I'm obviously not an expert in Parisian architecture, so I'm just going to stop making a fool of myself. Now, in open dressing, there was definitely a lot of treasure in the shop. It's very tightly packed, so you do need quite a bit of time to comb through everything. I want to say at least 30 to 45 minutes. It's not as big of a shop as, thanks God, I'm a VIP, the first shop that we went into, but it is really tightly packed. I did try on a Dior jacket, which had really big shoulder pads, so I thought it was a very unique style, but it's just not really my style. So while it was interesting, I didn't get it. There was a Chanel jacket that's really nice and classic. It's just a black jacket, but it's in a pretty worn, well-loved condition. It also didn't have a metal chain. I don't know if that means they removed it, but why would you remove that? Or the piece wasn't genuine. If any of you know whether some of the vintage Chanel pieces didn't come with metal chains, please let me know down below. I'm really curious to know. But I think the general knowledge is that Chanel jackets have always come with a metal chain at the bottom rim of the jacket, just to kind of give it some weight so that the jacket hangs on your body nicely. And I imagine that that was something I think maybe Coco Chanel would have come up with. So I don't understand why some pieces don't have the metal chain from this shop, open dressing. So I don't know if that calls into question the authenticity of the pieces from this shop. Like, honestly, we give so much credit to vintage shops in Paris because it's Paris. I don't really know how much authenticating these shops really do, and we give a lot of crap to the real, like the big brand names for sometimes slipping through fake items. But these vintage shops, the small ones in Paris, maybe it's just easy to slip through some of the fake items. Look, honestly, I don't know the answer to that, so if you know, please let me know. There was also a Dior quilted jacket, which I thought was a really interesting find, and I think it looked really nice on me, but it's just not something that I was looking for. So even though it was really nice, I wasn't going to get it just for the sake of getting it. Now, after I left open dressing, I kind of kept walking in the northern area of Le Marais, and there was a second location of the room vintage. Remember, the first location was a really tiny location in this kind of alley street, and it was more kind of streetwear style. This second location of the room has a bigger selection of winter coats, and there were some pretty interesting pieces as well, like these colorful Yves Saint Laurent pieces that just look really vintage YSL, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of unmistakable. And because it's so vintage and it's so colorful, the price is also pretty reasonable. I want to say this is 200 and I can't really tell what that number is, like, but it's below 300 euros. And there was also this other kind of red, green, blue, also very vintage YSL looking. I feel like it looks like something Princess Diana would have worn. So definitely very 80s, 90s vibe. There were also quite a few winter jackets that I tried on, but nothing super interesting. That was near the end of my vintage shop scouting trip, but I did stumble upon another one, which is named Parisian Vintage. It's not very far from the second location of the room, and this one actually looked really chic. It kind of looks like a normal kind of boutique that sells normal, you know, brand name pieces. You wouldn't really be able to tell that it's a vintage shop. There were some really nice pieces. I did see a very nice pair of Chanel jeans, and unfortunately I didn't get a picture of that. I didn't try it on because I didn't think I would be able to fit in it. It was a very slim fit Chanel jeans. There were other pieces that were pretty interesting, like this Chanel jacket in black with the gold buttons. I just didn't think the price was really a catch at 5,500 euros. I feel like you can get newer, better conditioned pieces off of the real. I hope you guys enjoyed this mini trip to Paris vintage shops. I do have another Paris trip coming up during the holiday season, so I'll try to film more while I'm there and see what good finds I can share with you. And again, if you like fashion and these kinds of contents about quality items, please click the subscribe button down below now, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!